Okay. The 2 points, actually I want to make a comment here. This is also what I expect them to do on this year's test. It's just my best guess. Is I think they'll give problems like this one, where the slope is in terms of x and y, and the curve is also in terms of x and y. It's not a y equal type equation. That prevents you from using your calculator very effectively. So I think it's highly likely that they'll have something like this problem, or like this one. Evaluate the second derivative on the curve where x is -1 and y is 1. So I need to find the second derivative. Again, can't use my calculator because of the x and the y. So here we go. So we take the second derivative. We have to use the quotient rule. So take the bottom. Don't forget the parentheses, because I must have all of 3y squared minus x. All of that must be multiplied by the derivative of the top. The derivative of the top is not 1. The derivative of the top is dy over dx. Minus the top times the derivative of the bottom. That's going to be 6y dy dx minus 1. All divided by the bottom squared. So 3y squared minus x. Now here's where not having to simplify becomes extremely important, because I have to put in dy dx, but I don't have to simplify anything. So I'm going to go find d squared y of dx squared. I'm going to find it at an x value of -1 and a y value of 1. Because I don't have to simplify anything, I just write everything out and I'll get the points. So I have 3, plug in the y coordinate of 1, minus -1. Okay, all of that. Make sure you use all these little parentheses when you're replacing x and y. It will save you losing points. dy dx is this thing. So I got to put that in. So I have the y value, which is 1, divided by 3 times 1 squared. Don't forget the parentheses. Minus parenthesis -1. Okay, that's all of this right here. And then I'm going to have to change color because I wrote too big, but that would be minus. And then we have 6, parenthesis, small parenthesis. Now we have to have another dy dx. So close, let's see, so that's a parenthesis there. And we have the 1 over 3 times 1 squared minus -1 squared, close parenthesis. I totally ran out of room. Going to have to rewrite this so you can make sense of it. But the point is, you can just write it all out, and no simplification is required. You have one big long bar, you'd have 3, and then 1 squared minus -1. And they will give you full credit for that. So I'm going to write it one more time, try to do it a little bit smaller. But basically, I would have, so we have parenthesis, key is all the parentheses, 1 squared minus -1 times dy dx. So that's, dy dx is the y over, so that's going to be 1 over 3y squared minus a -1 minus, I'm right here, y So that's 1, parenthesis, 6 times 1 times dy dx again, so that's 1 over 3, 1 squared minus -1. That was my dy dx. And then that's, oops, hold on. Yeah, I got to check this carefully. So here's the minus. So here's the minus right here. That's this minus. I need a parenthesis here. I need this -1, because this was 6 times 1 times dy dx minus 1. But all of that had to be, this minus had to minus all of it. And then you just say divided by, parenthesis, 3y squared minus -1. And that actually will get you full credit. They give you 1 point for getting, 2 points for getting to here. They give you 1 point for remembering that you've got to plug in the dy dx term. So that all occurred here. And then 1 point if you haven't made any mistakes in writing it all out. So the total is 4 points. And I'm not going to take the time to see what that all works out to be. I'll just look in the scoring guide. If you actually worked it all the way to the end, you'd get 1 over 32. There's no reason to do that. As long as you have written it out correctly, you'll get full credit. So